No. Okay, got it. Now it's thinking again. Take two. You gotta love technology.
Yes.
I used to get so anxious about technology because I was the one person it would never work for. Everyone's like, oh, it's so easy. You do this and this and this and this. And I was like, it doesn't work for me.
Not
All
happening.
right, this is take two. I think we're maybe live. You know the drill. Let me refresh it. We were on here once and then we got like it cut us off after 5 seconds. So thank you for your patience. I know it's a few minutes after 11 or at least 11 Central. Oh, good. We're live and it hasn't kicked us out yet. Woohoo. Okay, I'm going to shut off the background noise
Okay.
and we're good to go. All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Thank you also for joining us. I am here with Mo, and I just actually recently met Mo in person. Now, I have known about her and have followed her profiles and her content for a little while, and I finally grew the courage to just reach out and say hi. Actually, rewind that. I think Mo reached out to me asking if I wanted to attend a retreat, which of course I had a conflict with dates, so I cannot personally attend, otherwise I would. But then I asked if she'd be willing to get on a Zoom call. So I got brave enough to be like, hey, I can't come to your retreat, but would you be willing to connect with me? So that's kind of the story here. And Mo has been in the real estate industry for many, many years in many different roles. And she's just very passionate about the business side and taking care of ourselves, but also the admin side. And so I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about that and just small business owners in general. And we're going to just kind of have a conversation about the BU retreat in case you would like to learn more about it and who it's for and when it's happening and all the fun details. But before we dive into a conversation, I'd like to pass it over to you, Mo, and let you introduce yourself better than I could even, and tell us a little bit about what started the BU retreat.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I did reach out to Brittany, and I've reached out to a couple people that are probably in this group too, because I'm really working on consistently growing my network and meeting people that I haven't met before. Because every time I meet an admin in some new area of the world, they're like, oh my God, I thought I was all alone. I thought I was on this island. And I'm like, no, there's a whole bunch of us out here. And so it was really cool to get a chance to get to know you and see what you're doing in this group with your membership. And I love seeing the options that are popping up for admin all over the place now. Back when I started in real estate in 2012. And I really thought I was just going to be in real estate for like 6 months. I thought, oh, this will just be till I get my next gig in social work, because that's what I got my degree in. And then I quickly realized that there was an opportunity here to really use a lot of skills that I had not utilized in previous jobs and learn how to run a small business. And so it probably after about 4 years, I realized just how underutilized I'd been at previous jobs and how much I could do. But it took me another 3 years to gain the courage to leave and start my own company. And so when COVID started, I really realized how much I loved working from home and just how passionate and how excited I could take that excitement and passion and funnel it into something new that was full of all the things I love to do. Because one of the reasons I started the retreat was I was really looking for the next step for me. I was done talking about databases and drip campaigns. I wanted the next level of business development. And so I started a retreat to give myself just that and ended up creating something that a lot of people fell in love with. And so I'm really excited to bring it back. I'm really excited to be able to talk to people about not only the business side and how they can help build a better company or team wherever they're at, but also how can they become the best version of themselves? Because that became very clear to me in my time too in real estate that if you put two admin in front of a database and one has worked on their personal development and has great self-esteem and confidence and courage, they're just going to outbeat anybody else, because that determination and that ability to believe in yourself takes you to that 10th degree, it takes you to that next level. So that's what I'm really passionate about. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you know what? Being in the online space now, I've been here for a handful of years and I've done a couple different roles before I am where I am now. And imposter syndrome is such a real thing. And the mindset is such a real thing. And having the confidence and the courage to try new things outside of your comfort zone, I think probably is one of the biggest factors of what holds people back, is kind of getting in their own way.
Yes.
So can you speak a little bit on that, or maybe ways that the retreat helps business owners in that aspect of help kind of them find that inner courage and that inner confidence in a sense of doing things even if they're scared.
Yes, no, I love that. Uh, so there's two kind of aspects. So we have people who come to the retreat who are their own business owner, who own, usually it's a TC company. And then we have a lot of real estate agents who send their admin to the retreat. And I've had real estate agents come up to me afterwards and literally say to me, "What did you do to her? Because she came back and she's like running meetings now. She's telling me what I need to do. She's taking charge." And there's this process. I tell people that the retreat actually starts the moment you say yes. The moment you say yes is, as the facilitator, I start creating an experience. And so we have a private Facebook group that starts before the event. And then I very intentionally design some activities and things for people to do before we go so that they can at least know a few people before they get to this unknown location where they oftentimes know nobody. And so the experience really starts before we even arrive. And then I very intentionally also create some icebreakers and some different activities that really propel all of us, including myself, out of our comfort zone immediately. Because the thing that you realize pretty quick, and this happened to me personally, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, it's like when I realized how much I was capable of, every time I took a little baby step and I was like, oh, I haven't died yet. I'm not dead. I actually know more. And I have this weird feeling of like, that was exciting. I want to do that again. So it turns from anxiety into excitement. And it's actually and even it's been scientifically proven that that feeling is very much the same. It's very similar. And so if you can start to change the words that you use inside your head and change the words you use outside, like with people, you can begin to realize just how powerful you are. And that's like part of what we do in this retreat is specific activities to help people realize their power.
I love that. I saw somewhere, and I kind of piggybacked off of it because it's true, but
Yeah.
something said you're not burned out or you're not tired from doing, you're tired and burned out from basically not taking action because you're overthinking things and
Yes.
the anxiety. That's why you feel tired and burned out. But actually, by doing action, you feel energized. You
Yeah.
gain a little bit of confidence for doing that thing that you were scared of. And it's kind of like an adrenaline rush a little bit.
Yes.
But taking that first step for doing things that's the hardest part, right?
Oh yeah, it's realizing
totally
it's like
agree
that
with what you're
feeling of
talking
like
about.
when you step out and you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, and that unknown piece. Oftentimes admin are the type of folks that really we think through all the consequences. That's what some of the things that make us so good at our job. But in the reality of the big wide world, we don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. And so when you start to change how you feel about that, from feeling anxious to feeling, oh my God, I love it when. I mean, that's why I named my company. I love it when. I love it when something magical and miraculous happens. I love it when I impact more people than I thought I ever could. I love it when a speaker blows somebody's mind. So you start to shift. Oh, we have a guest. I love this.
We do. He's home with a fever today, so that was unplanned.
That's okay. He's welcome. He's totally welcome.
Yeah. Anyways. He is normally pretty quiet, knows the drill, but do you want to wave and say hi?
Hi, cutie.
No, okay.
It's okay. You don't have to.
That's okay. So I love that you facilitate like a community and to do things before you step out of your comfort zone of actually arriving and making those connections before you get there.
Yeah.
And I had a question about that. Sorry, got a little distracted.
Yeah, but I think a big part of that. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Big part of that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say a big reason that I do that, and you probably do the same thing within your Key Club, is in order for people to share and really get the most out of the experience, they have to feel safe. And we go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The very bottom of the triangle is your physical and mental safety. And so a big part of what I do, I've realized over the years, and that's kind of the social worker background in me, is I create an atmosphere that is very safe. Meaning, like, there is no judgment. There is, if anybody ever did step out of line, I feel like they'd probably be anxious too, because they know how protective I am of everybody who attends. And so I'm very particular about how the event is set up, how it's run, and I think people get that feeling right away and they know that. And so they know that, hey, like Mo's got your back. If you need me for anything, essentially before, during, or after the event, beyond, I'm there for that. And so I think that's part of what helps too. Yeah.
Totally. And I know what I was going to ask. Can you tell me a little bit? Because you don't sell endless amounts of tickets. There's a cap, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how big this event is. Because as far as I can tell from the marketing I've seen and what I've heard from you, like you're not in some like Marriott conference center that seats hundreds of thousands of people. You're in a more like, I don't want to call it intimate, but a
Oh,
more
it is intimate. Yeah.
intimate space
Yeah.
where you really get to know the people around you. You have that feeling of safety. And these are like kind of your people in your industry who know not only what your day to day looks like, but some of your struggles, who you're working with, the industry you're in. And so it's just really nice. And it makes that connection a lot more authentic and a lot easier because you're all in the same, the ring, if you will.
Yes.
So how
No.
many people approximately do you have attend this? And like, if you could also share the dates, we haven't talked about that yet. So
Yeah,
share a little bit
totally.
about the location, the dates, and like how many people you're expecting.
Okay. Well, this year it's May 4th through the 7th, and it's near Idaho Falls, Idaho. So the way that I work it is I have to wait until I get a certain number of people booked before I can book the house. And then I only obviously reveal the address of the house to the attendees. But it's within an hour of the Idaho Falls airport. And then I always cap it at 45 people. So one of the reasons I did that was because when I was working for the real estate team I was on, the owner was a part of Gary Keller's mastermind, and it was the top 100 mastermind in Keller Williams. And it was a smaller group of, I mean, at some point they probably had close to 150 maybe people, but it was this high level mastermind. And I was like, I want this. I don't want to walk into a conference with thousands of people and have to search my way through for some of the admin who are the top admin and teams across the US. I want to gather all those people in one space. And so the other purpose of renting a VRBO versus a hotel is, again, that environment that it creates. So it's a very different vibe and a very different feeling when you are going through an experience in a house versus a hotel. It just is. And I used to be that kid who hated going away to camp because I was so nervous to be around kids I didn't know. And here I am creating my own camp where
Right.
I'm taking people into a house. But it's amazing what happens because, again, it kind of forces people into that zone of discomfort real quickly. And you learn to talk to people and get to know people. And it's only for a short time. It's 3 days, right? And then you go back to your home and you're good to go. But that purpose behind that was to keep it at a high level conversation. And then I'm also very intentional about who I invite. So as I'm going through right now and I'm reaching out to people, I'm not reaching out to just anybody. I'm not going through and reaching out to every TC and every group I'm a part of, or any admin. I'm really looking at what do they do, what could they provide, what could I provide for them, and I'm crafting a group. And so it's all part of creating that environment that is meant to propel us all forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the ladies who are on here today, we have someone here from Florida. We have Jasmine and April and Natalie. Shout out to you ladies because you've been in the comments so far.
Oh, yeah.
And anyone else who watches this replay or is here live, if they were to kind of self-qualify themselves of maybe if this retreat was a good fit for them, like what kind of questions could they ask themselves, or who are you looking for at what level of their business? Do they need to be at a certain level? Like, who are you really trying to attract to this so that they can know maybe whether or not this is something for them to consider where they're at in business?
Yeah, no, good question. Any level of business, somebody who's brand new to somebody who's been in the business for 15, 20. We have people who've been in the business for 30 years who come and still find value. We have one lovely attendee who's coming back again this year, actually, who thought she was going to retire. She's like, I'm ready to retire. And then she came to my event, I think it was in 2019, and she's like, yeah, I'm not done yet. I just feel rejuvenated. So it doesn't matter what level of business you're in. I would say if you are curious, you're open-minded, and you're looking to grow and really and grow with a group and be pushed to the next level, then this is the event for you. I often always think of, well, 93% of people in these positions across industries are women. And I also have a heart for serving and seeing women excel in business at a really high level because for a long time we haven't been given the opportunity. So this retreat is not just for women, but there tends to be mostly women or all women there. But again, it's open to anybody of any gender. I just haven't had a lot of men want to come. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what level of business. And if anybody is wondering, like, is this for me? I always tell people you are welcome to reach out to me, and you can even text me directly. I put my phone number everywhere, and you can just shoot me a
That's
text.
the real estate agent in us, right? It's like, nah, personal boundaries. What
Yeah.
the? Yeah, well, that's awesome. And we'll provide the link for you ladies in the chat. I should have had that ready.
Yeah, I can do that.
But we can put the link in there in case you want to learn more about it. And again, kind of where the details are, where it's at, the dates and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
to your point, when you're talking about, a lot of us work in a virtual space.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was a life I chose so that on days like today, when he wakes up with a fever, I canceled one call today this morning that I rescheduled for later in the week, but I'm able to do this call and I have one at 1 o'clock, which is during
Amazing.
nap time. So that was convenient. But being in those in-person situations
Mhm.
is very important in my opinion. So when I got started in real estate, and some of the things that I tell my members of Key Club, if they have the ability to, join a local ambassador program,
Yes.
join a local YPN through your
Something.
association.
Yeah.
Put your, like, the Women's Council of Realtors, I know, has it in lots of different cities and areas and stuff like that. Go
Mhm.
join something if you can. And if you can't commit to something like that, a retreat like this would be perfect, because you get into those more close conversations where you can't hide behind your screen. And I'm not saying you're going to learn all the dirty secrets and details of someone. I mean, but
Yeah.
just having authentic conversations about, like, why did you get started, learning their story, learning their journey and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You're there for 3 days and then you can go home. But like, there's definitely power into that. I've been to
Yeah.
some with, like, I was part of an inner circle coaching program, which was really intimate. I mean, we went to Florida and we went to San Diego
Wow.
one time, and it was anywhere from like 7 to 10 women. And I
Okay.
was there for 2 or 3 days. Please don't lick myself. Sorry. And they're just like, those are women I still talk to this day. And they're not even in the real estate industry, right?
Yeah.
They're just small
Yeah.
business owners, entrepreneurs who are pursuing different industry, different niches and
Yeah.
things like that. And I just love those connections that I have made. So my
Yeah.
point here of all my rambling is that those in-person retreats or those in-person networking
Yeah.
opportunities, you'd be amazed at the relationships you can walk away with,
Oh,
even in
yeah.
3 days.
It's incredible. I tell real estate agents, what do you think would happen if your admin came, met 44 other people from around the US, and then they come back to your company and you ask them to run an event for you, as an example. Hey, can you do an event for our high A plus clients and book it out, sell, make sure you get everybody to come. They all of a sudden they have 44 people that they can call up and say, hey, Erica, who's on the East Coast and has run events with 500 plus people. How did you do it? What did you do next? Like, it's very different to reach out to someone that you've spent time with like this versus someone you just know through a Facebook group. It changes everything. And I'm a big believer also in social capital, people capital. Like my mom taught me a lot about people. And even though I am an introvert, putting on an event where I have to engage with other people, it being an introvert really more means where do I gain my energy? And yes, I gain energy from being alone, but my life has changed dramatically, didn't mean traumatically, dramatically, um, through other people. Like as soon as I started putting myself out there on social media about 9 years ago, my network expanded tenfold. And because of that, my life changed. And so, yeah, it's the exposure to all these different people who can add to your business, and then also exposure to the speakers that I bring in who are high level speakers. One of my goals behind having this event was to bring admin to an event where they don't usually get exposed to these kinds of speakers. This kind of experience with a private chef, like we don't normally have these kinds of events with high level experiences, and so that was also part of my goal, was to expose people to that.
To piggyback off that, can you tell me a little bit about how you lay out the event? Like, is
Yeah.
there like a morning session followed by a lunch? Like, how does kind of the flow of the event go so that
Yeah.
ladies would kind of know what to expect?
Yeah, no, great question. And so before the event, I usually send everybody an agenda too, so they have an idea. So you arrive Thursday afternoon at the house by 4 o'clock, and we do a couple opening activities, and then we go straight into dinner. And then after dinner, we have one or two other activities that have to do with just introducing yourself and getting to know, other people's names, basically where are they from and what they do. And then we go off to bed because everybody's been traveling all day and they're exhausted. And then Friday we get up and we start off with some really light, gentle yoga and do breakfast. And then we have our first speaker that usually goes from like 10 to noon. And then we have lunch, and then we have usually an afternoon speaker and some time to go over like our ahas for the day. What are the things that really stuck out to you? And then we have dinner, and then we have usually the evenings. I really try to leave open for people to just hang out. So some people will choose to like spend time with just one or two people. Other people will start doing brainstorming, like in the main living space of wherever we're at. They'll just like, hey, can we do some brainstorming around this challenge that I have going on? But it's just open time. And then Saturday, the second day, we have yoga again, breakfast, another speaker. And then usually the second half of that day in the evening, we do hot seats, which is where the group can come up and share like an obstacle or a challenge for about 5 minutes. And then the group has 10 minutes to help them brainstorm solutions. And it could be about your business, it could be about your team, it could be about your personal life. But that is very, again, kind of an organized way of, I'm a big proponent, I guess I would say too, of ensuring that the conversation is solution based. So any mastermind that I've ever run is never a place for just complaining. Where there's room for like, hey, you need to rant about this for a couple minutes. I think Monique Hellstrom, who used to work for Simon Sinek, she was a big fan of like, have that friend that you can call up and rant about something for 2 minutes, but then you're done and you move on to, okay, what's the solution? And so that's very much what that time's for as well.
That's a great tool. Or, I mean, a great tool, great advice in general, because you don't come to a solution by a poor me or a pity party or this happened to me or that kind of mentality. It just, it keeps you small, it keeps you down instead of say it out. Like there's definitely something about like accepting or acknowledging those feelings, but then being like, okay, how can we move forward? What are we going to do? I love that.
Yeah. So
I did tell the ladies if they have any questions to put them in the chat. So ladies, if you are watching, I know there's about a 30-second delay or so, but if you have questions, please let me know. Or if you have questions for Mo, you can put them in the chat. Otherwise, yes, you can always reach out to her. She's in this Facebook group now. You can tag her. She says, bring it on. But gosh, I feel like
I can share a little bit about the last thing I would say is like some of the speakers that I've brought in. So an example of some of the ones from past years, if anybody's ever read Fierce Conversations by Susan Scott, I was able to bring in Susan Scott the first year I did it, actually in 2017. And then Gary John Bishop, who wrote the book Unfuck Yourself. I don't know if anybody's read that book. It's he's a Scottish guy, and he's hilarious, and he's also quite intense, and he's come 2 years now. And then Enmei Mangels is a strategic intuitive advisor, and she works with and advises people who are in business here in the Pacific Northwest, like in Google, Amazon, Starbucks, a lot of the big businesses up here. In layman's terms, she's a psychic. So it's an interesting twist to having someone like that at our event. She talks a lot about her presentation is usually about the difference between using your intuition versus fear. So how do you identify when you're afraid of something, and how do you push through that? And how do you identify when this is your intuition saying, hey, don't do this, or yes, do this? And so she's been a really awesome addition. Who else? We've had Stacey Adams, who is the VP for ABC. She was just transitioning into that position when we had her. And so I always try and bring people in that I know are going to add enormous value, and again, who are kind of out of the box, not your normal, who you'd see speak at a real estate retreat.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you announced the speaker lineup for this year yet?
No, I'm actually going to do that this week. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Stay tuned, because that was one of Jasmine's questions. She goes, what kind of topics? And then Stephanie said, the speakers are amazing. Oh, the retreat is such a safe space. Cool. That means Stephanie
Oh
Neeson.
gosh, Stephanie
Been there
Neeson.
before?
If anybody wants to talk to someone who has changed dramatically over the last couple of years, talk to Stephanie, because when she first came, she amongst many of the attendees were like, there's probably half of the attendees who the night before the retreat happened, they told all of their partners, hey, I don't want to go. I can't go. I just can't. I'm going to have to cancel. And Stephanie's husband was like, no, you should really go. And I'm so glad she came, because she has gone from someone who didn't hardly speak to someone who is now volunteering to teach and coach. And she's someone who's a really great example of stepping outside your comfort zone. So the topics, whoever asked about the topics are usually, Jasmine, they're all really personal development related. So I would say like the speakers that come in speak about personal development and growth. And then between the speakers, if you really want to talk to some of the admin who have similar businesses to you. You can search those admin out between between speakers and ask them if you have database. Oh my God, I can't even talk anymore. If you have CRM questions, if you have business specific questions, you can do that between the speakers. But the speakers I bring in are really more related to how do we step outside our comfort zone in a bigger way? How do we overcome fear? How do we have hard conversations? Because so many admin I know have a voice that they need to use, and they just don't know how to talk to their entrepreneurial boss about that. And so those are where the topics are really more focused.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Something else I was going to add to that. So ladies, I love that the speakers are more on the mindset and the development and overcoming and things like that. But if you are like, I really want to learn more about how to scale my business, or if I want to talk more about the systems, or I want to talk more about, like you mentioned, CRM, I'm sure your private Facebook group would be something. When I go to a retreat or I go to an event, I already, for the most part, know I go strategically. I already know who I'm going to talk to, what questions I want to ask them.
Yes.
I mean, this is actually one of the things.
That.
Last year was one of those, and I already know who I want to talk to. So my point being, ladies, if you have more like business specific questions, this group could probably be very beneficial for you. And in Mo's private Facebook group, you could say, hey, I'm Brittany. And I am looking forward to the growth that I'm going to find during this retreat, but I would really like to connect with or talk to women about XYZ or attendees about XYZ.
You do that. Yes. So that's exactly the first year that I did it. I specifically went after a couple admin who ran expansion teams because my team was looking to grow outside of Washington. So I invited people who had expanded into 3, 4, 5 states. And so now coming to the retreat, I have TC business owners who are in multiple states, who are in multiple parts of the US. I have, there's just a variety. So yes, you're 100% right. I'm so glad you said that. It's being intentional and asking to meet with them before the retreat, but use this opportunity to get to know people deeper. Yeah, I love that.
That also helps with that, before you get there, walking in there all shy, I don't know anybody, hey, I'm Brittany. You have already maybe planted that seed in a less scary space behind your screen and made those connections ahead of time. Hey, I would love to talk to you further. And that way you can get there, hey, you'd be I'm Brittany, I've talked to you on the internet. That's probably one of my favorite things to do is be I've never met you in real life, but I already know so much about you. I feel like we're friends. Yes. It's just kind of funny to meet someone for the first time in person that you've kind of already built that relationship with. It's I feel like I've known you forever, and yet this is the first time I get to shake your hand. Usually
when people meet me in person, they're oh my God, I didn't realize how tall you are, because I'm 6 foot. And so, so just so you know, people who come to this event, everybody's in the same boat. There might be a couple people who know each other now because they've come to the retreat before, but everyone else is going to be in the same boat as you. Yep. So it's really, we're all in it together. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Stephanie says, finding balance between work and life, which for a lot of us admin bleed together. Yes, that is so true. Especially with technology these days, for us, you never can step away from it. It's always in your hand on your phone. It's always in my office, which is a few steps away from my kitchen. It's always right there, which is it's a love-hate, right? It's very convenient, but sometimes it's there is no separation. So that's a really good point, Stephanie.
Yeah.
All right. Did you want to share that video really quick?
Maybe that'll be the last thing that we share, because this half hour has flown by.
I know.
I'll share my screen real quick and let me see. You might have to give me the permission to.
I think I did. It's only a 5-hour drive for me. There you go, Diana.
Hey, Diana. Yes.
That's not bad. Pick a good podcast or a good audiobook and you'd be there before you know it.
Here you go. You might have to make me co-host to be able to.
Oh, sorry. I set it up on our last Zoom one and then it kicked us out. There you go. You should be good.
You're able to make this happen. I'm going to just share one video with you guys so you kind of get a sense of the vibe of what it feels like. And you can go to my website, which I'll share in the comments too, just iloveitwhen.org. And you'll see, oh, hang on, let me see if I can get this. You'll see all sorts of videos and testimonials. It used to be called the Pacific Northwest Operations Retreat, and I changed it to BU, the retreat. So here's just one. Let me see if I can open it up. Here you go.
So I'm originally from Kentucky. expressing herself in the name of a past. The little ones are just like this white range of being. Like they can just be lots of different ways in like 3 minutes. You're like, what? You can try and capture experiences and make them last.
So you can see Gary John Bishop is very enthusiastic.
Yeah. I just love how intimate it is. Like you're just sitting in a living room, which is like
Oh, I mean,
sweatpants and fuzzy socks. Like that is my jam.
that is why little
It's
Margaret,
it's
like,
amazing.
yeah, little
Wheels,
Margaret's
no
so happy
pencil
about this. Well, this is what little Margaret and teenage Margaret like wanted all the time. This is my jam, and this is why I love it so much because it's like creating the friendships that I've always wanted. So, yeah.
That was, if I could create that in a virtual space, I would say that is what I'm trying to do with Key Club.
Yes,
Is that
I love that.
I wanted to have this country club feel where it's like it's exclusive.
Yeah,
You know, it's that next layer. It's that paid
yeah,
community, but it's very like these are your people. When you walk in, it's like they know your name
yes,
and they know who you are. It's like you can go in there and talk business and like over a cup of coffee, or you can go and sit by the pool or play a round of 18. Like
yes.
that was the vibe I wanted when I created my membership. It was like it was business, but it was building relationships and community too. And so you're doing that in person in retreat, which just is so cool.
Oh, well, thank you so much for allowing me to come into your group and share. I love what you're doing. I love that we, you and Kathleen and I both kind of had that same vision of creating this next level of membership for admin to go to the next level in their life and in their careers. And so I'm just super excited to get to know more people that are doing and have the same passion for what we're doing.
I agree. I agree. And I like to your point that you said earlier, every single time I talk to an agent who maybe didn't even realize that this was the kind of support that's available, that
Yeah,
is where I really get fired up. And I know I've talked
yeah,
to you about that before, where it's like
yeah.
when you can connect those dots with an agent of like, you don't have to be doing it all. There
Yes,
are someone who can come in and truly be your right hand, or
yeah,
someone who can just take a small portion off your plate, like, and everything in between. So
yeah. It's super
just
exciting to be able to help people leverage their lives back.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us live. I know there's just a slight bit of delay, but Mo, thank you so much for being here. I wish you all the success with retreat.
Thank
I'm
you.
like half tempted to like rearrange my schedule and be like, I really
I'm
wanna
not
be
going to tell
there
you
now.
don't do it. You should
I know.
definitely do it.
No, I'm actually, my husband's out of town at the moment, which that's no shock. But I might be having a conversation with him at the end of this week. Like, can we just kind of like
Oh my God, tell him I will
schedule a
do
little bit?
whatever he needs. If he needs help, I will do whatever he needs to make
Yes.
it happen.
Yes, I would love that. So thank you so much, ladies. If you have any questions for Mo, again, she's in this group. Mo, I'll let you put the website link in the comments right after we get off here. So it's in the comments for you, ladies. But if you have anything or need anything, just let us know. And Mo, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, bye.